Hello. So this video is not Disney, and it's not a My Hero video. It is a Sailor Moon video and a One Piece video. Um, I am going to be talking about devil fruits in this, so that's where the One Piece comes in, and I'm going to be talking about Sailor Moon. So this is going to be a video, or a first of a series of videos where I talk about the different Sailor Scouts, basic stuff about them. I'm not going to go into a huge character analysis about them. That'll be, different video when I talk about the Sailor Scouts and Sailor Moon and such. This is just going to be some basic stuff, and then kind of in regards to their powers and some basic stuff with their dreams in regards to what devil fruits would work really well for the different Sailor Scouts. So this video is going to center on Sailor Mercury. Amy Anderson, as she's referred to in the original English dub, Amy Mizuno, in the actual manga and in Crystal and all that. And then Rei Hino, who is Sailor Mars, and she is, Rei Hino is her name, regardless. They didn't change that for her. So this video is going to be at those two. I'll do another one about Jupiter and Venus, and then one about Uranus and Neptune, and then one about Pluto and Saturn. And then Sailor Moon and Sailor Mini Moon and Tuxedo Mask are going to be like their own video. So that's kind of going to be the layout for those videos. They're going to be a little bit, quite a bit shorter than my usual, hour some long discussion on Disney videos. This is just kind of more a fun little video series that I thought of. I'm still going to do other One Piece videos, of course, and other Sailor Moon videos where I do more in depth about the Sailor Scouts, but this is just kind of a basic overview of them and then kind of what devil fruits would work for them. So this is for the people like me that are both Sailor Moon and One Piece fans. That's where we're going to go with this one. So first up is Sailor Mercury, Amy Anderson, Amy Mizuno. I'll be flipping back between Mercury and Amy throughout the whole video, I'm sure. And then same thing with Mars and Rei. First off, we have, of course, Sailor Mercury's power base is she has water attacks and bubble attacks and ice attacks. So that kind of more lands into the fact that she has Mercury bubbles, which just allows her to release a stream of bubbles that hurt the opponent. Mercury ice bubbles freeze, which allows her to freeze her opponent. Mercury aqua illusion, which is just a large blast of water that gets thrown at the opponent. And then Mercury aqua rhapsody, which is kind of one of her stronger attacks. She kind of plays a harp that is, made out of water, and then that releases a large amount of water, probably magical water, given the fact if it's a magical girl anime, that then hurts her opponent. So the symbols that go along with Mercury are, she has water, of course, she has ice, she has bubbles. She is named after the planet Mercury, of course, which is, even though it's based off of, in actual reality, Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. Not the hottest planet, that's Venus, but it's the closest planet to the sun and doesn't really have a lot of water on it. But it is the representative of the Roman god Mercury, which is the equivalent of the Greek god Hermes. Which is kind of where her harp comes into play, because Hermes did do music. He was not the god of music, that was Apollo, but that was Hermes did have music to a degree, and he's also rather swift and everything. Sailor Mercury, Amy, is based around those elements of water and ice to a degree. Which, can kind of lead into where you're probably assuming where I'm going to go with some of her devil fruits. We know in canon there is not a water devil fruit, or, whatever variation of it you want to call it. I think it was like the Mizunomi, or whatever the variation of it that they would go with. There is no one in canon. I think Oda has vaguely mentioned it, and there are lots of people all over the internet that have like theories about, if there is a water devil fruit, how would it work? But if there was one, then, if Amy was in that world, then, that one would be a good one for her to have. Another good one for her to have in regards to her bubble ability would, of course, be the Awa Awa no Mi, or the bubble fruit that Khalifa has. I don't think she would use it quite the same way Khalifa does, But Amy is also extremely intelligent. She's one of the smartest Sailor Scouts. I mean, she basically is the smartest Sailor Scout, actually. And in regards to that, she would be very good at coming up with very good ways of using her bubble techniques and such like that, or using any devil fruit that she was given, in all honesty. Um, there might be somewhere it's just like, okay, that one is stupid and I don't want it. I'm talking to you, jacket fruit. But there'd be a few other ones where she was like, oh, she would be able to use that very well. And kind of a slight tangent, this would go into the I think it was the wash devil fruit that Suru has, that Vice Admiral Suru has. Amy would probably be very good at being able to use that devil fruit. By technicality, it involves water in regards to the wet laundry, but different hands, different concept. But she would be a very good strategist. Um, I have no idea where the Sailor Scouts would fall in regards to Marines, revolutionaries, pirates. I don't know. If they were Marines, I would think that they would be Marines like Smoker, Tashigi, or Aokiji, or Garp, that understand that not all pirates are bad. If they were pirates, they would be like good pirates, like Luffy and his group. And if they were revolutionaries, then that just basically explains where they would be. They would probably be working with Dragon and everything, and Amy would be like one of their strategists. If the Sailor Scouts were in that world, and then so she would use the Awa Awa no Mi, the bubble fruit, which would work rather well for her. I would think that she would probably be able to come up with some of the same techniques, I guess, that that Khalifa used in regards to using it to drain away the opponent's energy, make them unable to move because they're too slippery. Using it, she forms that bubble shield type thing out of the bubbles, out of the soap from the bubbles, which is very ingenious in regards to protecting her from Nami's attacks. So, and I'm sure that Amy would come up with that as well, because Khalifa is quite smart, and Amy is probably a bit smarter than her. And then we, of course, have the other another devil fruit that would work very well for Amy, which would be the Hia no Mi, the ice fruit that, of course, Kuzan Aokiji has. So that one would also work very well for her, because some of her attacks do involve ice and freezing. Those would work quite well for her. In regards to other devil fruits that Amy would probably be able to use rather well. I'm also doing a devil fruit or so based on the character's dream. And Amy's dream, her goal was to become a doctor. Therefore, that obviously would put it as the good fruit for her to have would be the Ape Ape no Mi, the Op fruit that Law has, would be based on her dream of becoming a doctor, of course. Wouldn't be, as probably deadly as what Law does with it at times, but Amy would definitely be a good candidate for that devil fruit in regard to the fact that she would be able to use it very good at, healing people, using it to do surgeries, probably using it in some of the same ways that Law does, but she would be, very good at, she has a very good understanding of the human body and everything. Her mother's a doctor. Her goal was to become a doctor. So those would work quite well for her. I was trying to think if there would be any other devil fruits that would actually work really well for Amy. I mean, we got the water covered, we got the bubbles covered, we got the ice covered. I was trying to think if there was any devil fruits that actually involve like intelligence, like the smarter you are. I mean, like the Ape Ape no Mi kind of works with that, with the fact of, the best person to give that devil fruit to is someone who is a doctor, because they can use it to the best of their ability. Because they understand how the human body works, or in One Piece, how these different, variations of the race's bodies work for the most part. I mean, Law might have to do a little bit of double checking in regards to the, okay, I'm just going to double check to make sure I know where your heart is in regards to you being a fishman, or, some of the other things that are a little bit, out of proportion to a degree on some of the different races in One Piece. But for the most part, I think it'd be fine. I think there was a line that he made in like a different, in the battle with Kaido, that was like, I don't know if this is where your heart is, but I'm going to stab here anyway. I think was like one of the lines that he had to Kaido in the fight. There's not too much in regards to that. I mean, like all the Sailor Scouts have like different favorite animals. So I guess there would be like maybe some zones that Amy could turn into, if those were a possibility. But I don't really remember exactly what Amy's favorite animals are. I do know that Amy likes music. Um, but I wouldn't necessarily put that as something that she would be able to use in regards to like, oh, she would be able to use like, Apu's, music devil fruit. I wouldn't put that in there necessarily because she doesn't play music, but she likes to listen to music. Um, and there is an episode where she helps build a car. She makes friends with someone, and then she helps them build a car. So maybe something to do with like mechanic type stuff. So I guess maybe something to do with like that magnetic devil fruit that kid has, maybe, but not so much. Maybe I think was it the Gasha no Mi, or whatever the devil fruit is that Douglas Bullet had in Stampede. Cool devil fruit. Bullet could have been better. Um, the devil fruit was very, very useful and very, very overpowered if done right, but the Bullet had much to be desired. Um, but in regards to that, Amy's extremely smart, so she would probably be able to use it to build different things. In all honesty, Amy would probably use it to build like medical equipment or stuff like that, which would be a very good thing for her to be able to do. And if you could have more than one devil fruit for Amy to have, if she could have more than one devil fruit, then I would say definitely give her the Ape no Mi, because she'd be very good with that. But then also give her probably not not Bullet's devil fruit, but I would say give her ice. Give her Aokiji's devil fruit. A combination of those two and Amy would be a very good combination. There's not. We know that most people can't have devil fruits. Blackbeard is a glorious exception to this, but we don't know why yet. Um, but in regards to Amy being able to do that, those would be quite good for Amy to have. Um, there's not really any other devil fruits that are like intelligence based. There's other people who have devil fruits that are extremely smart, obviously. If you have a devil fruit and if you're very smart and very clever, then you can come up with different ways of using it. Like, Suru's main power is not in her devil fruit ability, it is in her strategies. It is the fact that she is, this master tactician. She chased Doflamingo for years, and eventually she did catch him, but it took a long time. But so she was very smart and everything. So that would be, Amy would probably be a good strategist if she was in the Marines. She would be, as I said, the Scalar Scouts would probably be good, good Marines that understand that not all pirates are bad. This is evident in the fact that the Sailor Scouts throughout the course of you don't see this as much in the manga because the manga is a little bit more fast paced. But the Sailor Scouts in the anime at times have actually kind of made allies or friends out of some of the people that they ended up fighting. This happens in mostly in season 2 in the anime with Alan and Anne, and then with the four sisters from the Nemesis, the Black Moon Kingdom, or the Dead Moon Kingdom. No, it's not Dead Moon Kingdom, it's Black Moon Kingdom. So there's that. And then they kind of and then they do make allies again in season 4 with some of those characters, with the characters from the Dead Moon Circus. And if you haven't seen Sailor Moon, then you probably don't know what I'm talking about at all in regards to that. But they're working on the 20th anniversary stuff. There's going to be another movie coming out soon in regards to that. So, go watch Sailor Moon. I'm sure you can find it somewhere on something that streams whatever for Sailor Moon. I recommend it. I very much recommend it. But that would be kind of where Amy falls. Now we'll move on to Sailor Mars. So that would be Rei Hino. And in regards to this, the ones that would go based on Rei's abilities, Rei's powers. Rei's, of course, god symbols and such are, of course, fire, because she is Mars, which is, of course, a reference to the planet Mars, which is the Roman god of war, which is, of course, the reference to the Greek god of war, Ares. And Ares wasn't the happiest of the go-lucky gods. Not the happiest god at all. But also by technicality, I guess, backs up in regards to Amy. Um, Also, Athena doesn't have her own planet. Um, Minerva didn't have her own planet. I think there might have been a different celestial body that was named after the goddess Minerva. Um, but that doesn't really have a specific connection to Amy. But Amy would also be quite a good reference to Athena and the fact that she is, extremely smart and she uses her, intelligence in battle. So that would be, you know, Mars and Minerva and, Ares and Athena, I mean, most of the Sailor Scouts get along, but this isn't necessarily a reflection on that. But then as I said, with Sailor Mars, she has those symbols that she goes with. She has, Mars Fire Ignite, Mars Fireball Charge, um, Mars Firebird Strike, and then Mars Flame Sniper. The Ignite is just a large flash of fire that comes out from her. Mars Fireball's charge, or Fireball Charge, is she has rings of fire that appear around her that have different symbols in them, and then those are what hurt the opponent, of course, when they fly out from her. Mars Fire Strike is just more fire coming out. Or Mars Firebird Strike, excuse me, is just one of her higher level moves that allows her to release a large amount of fire, and it forms into the shape of a bird or a phoenix. And then her Mars Flame Sniper is in regards to the fact that, she is able to, which is one of her strongest attacks, where she summons a arrow that is made out of fire, a bow and arrow made out of fire, and she launches the arrow at her opponents. So that's usually where that comes in. And those would kind of lead to the fact that, I didn't mention this yet, but behind me I have, Sailor Mercury on the cover of one of the Sailor Moon manga. Sailor Mars is over there. And then I pulled out two of the different One Piece manga. I don't remember if I have the manga that has Khalifa on it, but I went with one that actually involves a lot more water, and that's the Fishman Island arc. So I have volume 63 over here, which involves part of the Fishman Island arc. And then for Ray, I have on the other side of Flareon, I have one of the Alabasta Saga ones, volume 18, which has Ace on the cover, which of course basically explains that the best devil fruit for Ray to have would definitely be the Mara no Mi, the Flame fruit that Ace and Sabo currently have. Well, Ace had, Sabo currently has. That would be where that would land for her, I would say, for the best one for her to have, in regards to her power set and ability. One of the other ones that would be very good for Ray to have is she also uses evil anti-ward scrolls, which comes from the fact that she is a priestess at the shrine where she lives with her grandfather. And so, Ray kind of has the ability to see the future. She gets premonition. So I guess, a little bit like hockey, but they're sent to her as opposed to her actually necessarily always trying to see them. But she has the ability to sense evil, and she uses her scrolls to, attack it, and they are able to affect her opponents at times. And even though the shrine gets attacked multiple times throughout the entire series, so it's like, okay, you might want to, up your spiritual, your spiritual bodyguards there. So it's not, Ray uses those scrolls, and we found out, I think it was in an SBS or something, where we found out that Raizo, who is of course one of the 9 red scabbards, is actually has a devil fruit, and it is the Maki no Mi, or like the scroll fruit, or as he calls it, his scrolling jutsu. Because Wano, they don't quite know what devil fruits are. Not entirely yet. I'm sure that might get a bit remedied once once everything's finished with Kaido. Like, we're gonna have a giant class where we teach everybody here in Wano about what the frick devil fruits are, because apparently y'all don't know. So Ray having like the scroll fruit would also be quite good. We've seen with Raizo what he's able to do. He's able to, trap power in the scroll. He did that with Kaido several chapters back when the Scabbards were fighting him. He trapped one of Kaido's Borobas in the scroll and then, hit Kaido with that. He's done a few other things with scrolls throughout the course of the time that we have known Raizo. Um, but those would be quite good for Ray to have. The fire and the scrolling. And there is another devil fruit that would work very well for Ray that doesn't necessarily involve her dream. Her dream is actually to become, well, it's a singer, a songwriter, a model, an actress, a musician, fall in love, and get married and be a career woman. So Ray wants to do it all. um, which go for it, girl. Um, and in regards to that, we get a lot of there's some devil fruits that might be good with those. A singer, musician, songwriter, stuff like that. That would kind of go along a little bit with maybe the music devil fruit that Apu has. But I still wouldn't place it necessarily with Ray because that's kind of music isn't the main thing that she does. Falling in love and getting married, those aren't really a devil fruit quality. Being an actress, not really a devil fruit quality. Being a career woman, not really a devil fruit quality that a devil fruit can enhance you with. It can help you with that. But there is another thing, another symbol in regards to that Ray has in the series is she has crows that are around her a lot. There are two crows that are at the shrine a lot that she takes care of, and their names are Demas and Phobos, which are a reference to, of course, Mars's two moons are Demas, Demas and Phobos, Demios and Phobos, which are panic and fear, I think, are what those two are the reference to, or fear and terror, or something along those lines. And she has these two crows, of course, that she takes care of. And at one point in both the manga and now in Crystal, I think it's been revealed that they're going to be in Crystal. They do have the ability to turn into humans. Human legs, kind of like little fairy type things that kind of are there to like guide Ray, and they turn into little versions of the little sailor scouts. And at one point, they help Ray get past a certain wall that she hit in regards to her power or her own ambition versus what she's supposed to do, type thing, and they help her with that. And this is what they look like. They're adorable. But she has the crows around her quite a bit. And in regards to that, I would say that a good devil fruit that Ray could have would be that devil fruit that Karasu has. It allows him to turn in like those flock of birds that we don't know the name of the devil fruit. We don't know if it's a Zoan type devil fruit that he can just somehow turn into a bunch of birds. That's just like a very odd version of a Zoan type devil fruit. They apparently can hold weight because we see Sabo sitting on them at one point in regards to, I think, when he's leaving Dressrosa, he's sitting on one of the birds. But, we don't know that much else about Karasu's devil fruit. We haven't gotten the name for it yet. We don't know if it's a Paramecia or a Logia or a Zone. We narrow it down a little bit more to either Zone or Logia because Paramecia, we see him actually come apart and like form into the crows, and then they form into him. So it's like, okay, it's either a Logia or a Zone. But if it's a Zone, we don't know if it's like some type of a very, very rare type of Zone where it's like, oh, you eat this, and not only can you turn into an animal, you can turn into an entire flock of animals. You can turn into an entire flock of crows. It's just like, okay. And if it is a Logia devil fruit, I think I do pay attention to Library of Ohara, so that would be the Artor Sama. But there was that story that they did that was a Return to Reverie, and they kind of say that Karasu's devil fruit is a Logia, but it's like tar or something, and I'm like, okay, that works. Or something along those lines, where it's like a type of substance that, of course, he can mold into whatever shape that he wants it to be. We kind of see this a little bit with other Logia. Aokiji can make different, animals out of his ice and use that. We see that with Ace. Ace and Sabo can make different shapes and such out of their fire. there's several other Logias that we've seen that can do that in regards to their power. Because they can shift it into whatever forms. Eneru does it with like a lot of his different electric attacks, of course, which I'll go over more when I talk about Sailor Jupiter, because that's the obvious one for Jupiter. But that'll be the next video. But so those would be the ones that I would say would work best for Ray. Definitely the Mera no Mi at the top of that list for Ray. But then I would also put the Karasu, actually, Karasu's Devil Fruit would be second after that, because, scrolls, I mean, yeah, Raizo uses them quite well, and Ray would probably be able to use them very well, because she's also very smart, along with, Mercury. They're both very smart, very well educated. Um, but I would say that the Mera no Mi definitely the top for what Ray would have, and then down from there. Um, I would say Ray, if she was in the One Piece world, mm, I would put her probably as she's definitely stubborn enough to be a pirate. I would give her that. Um, but she also likes to very much follow the rules. So I wouldn't necessarily put her as a revolutionary, but I also wouldn't put her as a pirate. I wouldn't necessarily even put her as a marine necessarily. Maybe, if she was a marine, I would still think most of the Sailor Scouts, if they were Marines, they would be the good type of Marines, like, as I said, Garp and some of the others that we've encountered over the years, Tashigi, Smoker. Um, you know, I guess you could go with where there's fire, there's smoke, and maybe she could have the smoke fruit that that Smoker has. And I'm like, no, I wouldn't put that with Ray necessarily. I wouldn't really put that with any of the Sailor Scouts. That would go with something else down the line. I mean, that's just not that wouldn't really work. I was trying to think if there was any other devil fruits that would work really well for Ray to have. I mean, there's not really any devil fruits that deal specifically with, like, banishing away evil. You know, I use this power like her scrolls. She uses her ward scrolls to banish evil away, but there's not really a whole lot else that she does with them. She uses it to, attack the thing, attach to the villain, and then, it causes them pain and they're able to attack it, or it pins it down, or whatever the case may be. I would definitely say that Ray would probably have, like, the future sight version of observation haki, like what Katakuri has and what Luffy now has, where they can see into the future to a degree. But I would also, that would be because Ray does see into the future a fair amount of times in her, in the actual story. She gets premonitions. Usually they're like a bit further out than, like, oh, this is just going to happen a few seconds from now or a few minutes from now or whatever. It's, several days or weeks or a giant warning coming from the future of don't let this happen type thing. But I would kind of put it that she would probably have haki. Amy might have haki as well. I would put Amy probably having observation haki, considering how much she does observe about the world. I wouldn't put her as being as, standoffish as Law. But, she would still have, she would still do quite well with the Ape no Mi. That would be where those two fall. The next video, as I said, will be Jupiter and Venus. But that's what I got for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. If if you're a Sailor Moon fan and or understand One Piece as well, which, if you're a Sailor Moon fan and you don't know about One Piece, then this video probably didn't make a lot of sense to you. If you're a One Piece fan and you don't know about Sailor Moon, it probably made a little bit more sense to you, but not as much. But for the whatever amount of my audience now or later down the line that has that amount of the knowledge of both of those things, kind of go with that. That's what we got there. If you think of any other devil fruits that you think that any of the Sailor Scouts would have, even I might go over them in the other videos depending on stuff, but if you think of any, put them in. Or like a different type of a devil fruit that you think would work for the Sailor Scouts that maybe doesn't exist in the story, in the actual story. I mean, there are people that have come up with so many different types of created devil fruits. I mean, I just did the video on Easter about like the bunny devil fruit, but how many other devil fruits are people going to be able to come up with? How many other devil fruits are that Oda's going to make throughout the rest of the story? Um, we'll see. Maybe there'll be something like, maybe there's like an arrow devil fruit that allows them to literally summon arrows. It's not quite the Buki no Mi that Baby Five has. A different Sailor Scout has that, but not yet. I put that with a different Sailor Scout. But it was like the Buki no Mi, but that maybe something else like that Ray would be able to use, or something else that Mercury might, that Amy might be able to use. If you think of any, let me know. That's what we got. I thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye. For love and exams, I'm Sailor Mercury. Stand under a cold waterfall and reflect on your conduct.